You take your photo, not to perform, not to prove you have a life, just because for one quiet second, it felt worth keeping. Then the app opens. The caption box stares back, your thumb floats over post, and your body says no before your ego can explain it. The picture didn't change. The audience did. Maybe that is not insecurity. Maybe it is pattern recognition. Because the internet sells a sweet little lie that sharing is harmless. It isn't. Sometimes sharing turns a memory into a public scoreboard. Once the photo goes live, it stops being only yours. It becomes variable reward. Likes, silence, judgment. A tiny courtroom in your pocket.
A person can sit on the edge of a bed with a perfectly good photo in their hand and still feel that quiet resistance. Not fear, not drama, just a small internal stop sign. Behavioral psychology calls this anticipation. Your brain starts predicting reward and punishment before you even act. So before the photo is posted, the mind is already doing the ugly little math. Who will like it? Who will ignore it? Who will think you're trying too hard? And the worst one, what will silence mean? That is the part people love to mock. They call it overthinking. I don't buy that. Not always. Sometimes it is your nervous system remembering that visibility has a cost. This is not about the image. It is about the emotional bill that may show up after the image becomes public. And if this kind of quiet psychological pattern makes you feel uncomfortably seen, tap like, not as a cute little internet ritual, as a signal that this is the kind of conversation more private people need to find. Irving Goffman described everyday life as a performance where people manage the impression they give to others. Social media did not invent that. It just made it measurable. That is the social lie being exposed here. People say they are just sharing. A lot of the time, they are auditioning. A sunset, a dinner, a mirror photo, a normal Tuesday night. Suddenly it becomes evidence that your life is interesting enough to be watched. And that is why the post button can feel less like a button and more like a door. Open it, and people walk into the room. Social culture looks at an empty profile and calls it insecurity. But sometimes, not posting is the first sign that someone still knows the difference between having a moment and submitting it for review.
The loop starts after the upload, not while choosing the photo. After. Someone posts, turns the phone face down, and performs that little lie everyone recognizes. I don't care. 5 minutes later, the hand reaches back. 1 like. 3 likes. No comment from the one person whose silence somehow weighs more than everybody else's noise. B.F. Skinner showed something ugly about behavior. When rewards arrive unpredictably, people keep repeating the action longer. Not every time. Not on schedule. Randomly. That is variable reinforcement. And social platforms copied its emotional shape almost too well. A reaction can arrive in 10 seconds or 3 hours, so the brain keeps checking like someone sitting in a dark hallway waiting for one specific knock at the door. This is not vanity. It is reinforcement. And yes, people love to act morally superior about this, as if they are immune. They are not. They are just better at pretending. In a UCLA study on teenagers, Lauren Sherman and her colleagues found that seeing many likes on photos activated reward-related brain regions, including the nucleus accumbens. The platform does not need to shame you directly. It only needs to make approval visible, countable, and delayed. That is the trap. A like feels harmless until your mood starts waiting for it. A post becomes a slot machine with your face on it. Digital culture calls this connection. Cute word, but psychologically, it can become conditioning. And once someone remembers that feeling, not posting starts to look less like fear and more like refusing to pull the lever again.
At the dinner table, everyone lifts the phone before the fork. The food sits there, untouched, cooling, waiting for permission to be eaten because first, apparently, the meal has to become content. Nobody calls this weird anymore. That might be the weirdest part. Sociologists describe this as public performance, and Sherry Turkle has warned for years that constant digital presentation changes how people experience presence itself. The moment is not just lived anymore. It gets prepared, framed, tested against an audience that isn't even in the room. And here is the social lie. If you do not post it, people act like it mattered less. No, that is backwards. Privacy is not absence. It is ownership. A photo kept in the camera roll is not a failed post. It is a locked drawer, a quiet room with the lights still warm, a memory that did not have to stand in a display window and wait for strangers to price it. So, the next time your thumb hovers over the post button, do not rush to diagnose yourself as insecure. Ask the better question. What were you protecting? Your mood? Your peace? The feeling that the moment still belonged to you? Because sometimes, not posting is not hiding from life. It is refusing to turn life into evidence.
Maybe the quiet person with the empty profile is not empty at all. Maybe they are doing something digital culture almost forgot how to respect, separating the moment they lived from the version they could perform. And in a world where visibility keeps getting confused with value, privacy starts to look suspicious. That is the social lie. If people cannot see it, they assume it meant less. But the healthy distinction matters. Not posting is not automatic proof that you are afraid to be seen. It becomes a problem when fear starts making every choice for you. But when privacy protects your peace, your memory, and your self-respect, stop calling it avoidance. It is ownership. Finish this quietly. I stopped sharing myself when... And maybe that opens the darker question underneath all of this. What happens when certain people make your private life feel valuable only when they are allowed to watch it? Some moments do not become less real because nobody clapped for them.